I'm sitting at a diner and somebody's like, yo, Sanchez, we win the Super Bowl or what?
Welcome to week 6 of the Tailgate. I'm Michelle Margaux with Ralph Vacchiano. And Ralph, am I crazy or is your background just always evolving?
It is. I've got something new every week here. We could do a whole segment on junk behind me in the shot. I got a nice Jets helmet from the Jets, a nice Giants hat. You need people to send you stuff. And Michelle, I've actually got something for you. This is going to be added to my background if the teams lose one more game. It's the bag hat for Giants and Jets fans with the little hashtag SNY Tailgate.
I want some. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome, but I want something a little bit more official than that, if you could just send one my way. Well, it's time for takeaways, and there's just one this week. Ralph, the Jets releasing Le'Veon Bell. Why didn't this signing pan out?
Wow, there are so many reasons why it didn't pan out. I mean, you start with the fact that it was done by the previous general manager over the objections of the current head coach. So it was a marriage doomed to fail from the start. Le'Veon Bell, after a year off from football before he signed with the Jets, clearly not the same player. And on top of that, look around him. They had quarterback issues last year. The offensive line has stunk. He never had a chance. I'm not so sure the Jets really wanted to make this work. It seemed doomed to fail right from the very beginning.
Well, obviously they couldn't find a trading partner. Was this their best course of action?
Yeah, I think so. They, from what I'm told, talked to every single team. Nobody wanted to spend even a 7th-round draft pick on him. It's just, they knew that the Jets might have to release him, and then they could pick him up for the minimum. So why bother keeping him around? It helps them get young running backs involved. Yeah, I think this was their best choice. You
mentioned that this was not a Joe Douglas signing. So does this change how the Jets view free agent big signings moving forward?
I don't think it'll change. It does make me wonder, how many big free agents are going to enjoy the idea of playing for the Jets, given that you've seen them get rid of Jamal Adams, get rid of Le'Veon Bell. All these free agent contracts don't work out. Money always talks, but maybe it'll make somebody think twice in the future.
Let's high step into the friend zone and welcome in former Jets quarterback and current ESPN analyst and host of the Fourth and Forever podcast, Mark Sanchez. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you are the perfect person to answer this question. What type of pressure does a young first-round drafted quarterback feel when they play in New York?
Essentially, you go from this, 21, 22-year-old kid who's in college and allowed to make bonehead college decisions to overnight you're, given ungodly amounts of money, and now you're expected to make decisions like a 65-year-old Supreme Court justice. And it just doesn't make sense, right? So a lot of circumstances change on the outside, but you're essentially the same person with a very different bank account and very different expectations.
The guy handling it now for the Jets, Sam Darnold, is a guy I know you've worked out with him. You've had him on your podcast. When he's been healthy, he's certainly shown some flashes of being a really good, if not great, quarterback. From what you've seen of him, why do you think he hasn't been able to find that consistency just yet?
Well, I think the most important thing is what's around him, right? And understanding and managing those expectations. People just see like, oh, Orange County, USC, oh, Sanchez did that. I mean, he went to AFC Championship games. Sam's going to do the same thing, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. Well, it doesn't necessarily work like that, right? And so he went to a team that was much different, much less experienced. As long as the guy shows flashes, then you got to keep investing in him. And I think Sam has shown plenty of flashes. It's just there's been so much turnover, whether it's at coach, coordinator, GM. Now he's in a situation where this GM didn't draft him. And if you didn't get drafted by your GM, I mean, everybody's essentially on notice. It's unfortunate because Sam's been, in some cases he's at a gunfight with a knife. And, he's trying to make these plays, but you see it. So as long as you see flashes, you got to keep investing in him. Get him the number 1 receiver. Get him a legitimate number 2 receiver. Because I think Crowder is a part of the solution, right? I think they have pieces there that are a part of the solution, but they need to keep adding and keep building through the draft. And he's got everything you want in a quarterback. It's just whether it's going to work out in New York or not, I'm not positive about that.
More with Mark Sanchez in just a moment, but first, let's dive into the comments section. And Ralph, you asked for them this week.
Boy, is it a dangerous thing to do, because the psychosis of Giants and Jets fans right now is not good.
All right, well, let's get to the first one. Jeffrey asks, if the Giants lose to Washington this week, will that be the final straw for Dave Gettleman?
I don't think his fate is going to turn on one game. John Maris said they're going to judge this season on progress. Okay, we haven't seen any through 0-5, but I think that he's going to give it a little more time to make a big picture judgment. I don't think a loss will push him out the door. I think that, a few more losses will make the decision pretty easy, but it's probably going to happen at the end of the year.
Interesting. All right, Greg V asks whether the Giants will trade assets to assist the rebuild, and if so, who are the most likely to go?
This is interesting because it sort of ties into the last question, because the trading deadline's coming up November 3rd. And do you want Dave Gettleman making those decisions if he's not going to be the long-term GM? Evan Ingram, their tight end, might be the most interesting one because he can really be a weapon for a contender down the stretch. Other than that, maybe a Jabril Peppers, but there's not a lot there. Most of their talent is young, inexpensive talent that they're not going to give away because they might be able to build around it.
If you could throw one more pass in your NFL career, who would you want on the other end of it?
Oh, wow. Probably Jericho Cotchery. And it would be a game-winning touchdown because that dude was everything you want. A teammate, a receiver. We brought in two big-time receivers in Santonio Holmes and Braylon Edwards. And Jericho, he didn't hear a peep out of him. He tore his groin against the Browns one year, and we're playing in overtime. This is the same overtime. I said to Brunel, I was like, dang, the clock's shoot. We got to hurry up, man. I don't want to go to double overtime. He looked at me like, what? There's no double overtime, bro. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, there's only a minute left. He goes, yeah, we need to win the game or we tie. I was like, a tie? You can't tie. He goes, you're such an idiot. Just go play. I was like, dude, I didn't know. So it's in that game that we're on this game-winning drive. And to convert a 3rd and 10 or 12, I'm scrambling around and I see Jericho like limping as I start to exit the pocket. Then I double back. I see him limping and I'm like, what the hell? And he kind of puts out a hand yeah, I'm good. So I chuck a friggin' missile at him and he fully extends. He's completely horizontal and dives and gets his ball, secures it, falls on the ground. And he's like, oh, I feel like if anybody deserved one more touchdown to win a game or anything, it's Jericho because he never got enough love.
Yeah, he was a really underrated player on that team, to be sure. And you guys were fun to watch every week, really. It was an entertaining team, but the most entertaining part was your head coach. I couldn't miss his press conferences. You never knew what Rex Ryan was going to do or say. Was he as brash and crazy as his public persona made him seem?
He was a loyal dog, and he tried to motivate us the best he could. And I thought he did a great job. And a lot of that brash, outspoken demeanor was to deflect and absorb some of that pressure from the media and just put it all on him to make our lives easier. We all bought in, and we loved his demeanor and mentality, and we loved when he would just talk smack to people. It was funny. Before the Browns game, I went down, when you do a tabletop behind someone's back and you push them over, somebody's on all fours behind them, and then, they don't know, the person standing up doesn't know, and then you're in on it with somebody else and they come and knock somebody over. So we try to get robbed. Me and Rex, before the game, this is 10 minutes before kickoff, and we're just being idiots like children and trying to trip his older brother or his twin brother. And those are the kind of stories that I remember, but his wife, Nikki, everybody, they're a very sweet family and very good people.
Speaking of his wife, did you feel slighted when he switched the tattoo of his wife?
So, yeah, funny. We played a prank on him, and I told him on one of our early episodes of the podcast, I said, there's a tattoo of Van outside your house right now, and I need you to change that tattoo back. He's like, no, you don't understand that tattoo didn't tickle, it really hurts. That was a pretty funny tattoo.
And we know Rex can talk a little trash. I don't know if you were much of a trash talker when you played football, but what's the strangest trash talk that you ever heard from an opponent?
Ooh, probably just from Bart Scott, the first day I got there.
I can see, I hear a lot from him on SNY, so I get it.
I can't say exactly what he said. We were working like a hard count, so like an elongated cadence to try and draw the defense offside. And Bart is like clearly offsides over the ball because his face mask is almost touching my face mask and I'm under center. So he's like leaning over the ball so far. And I'm like, bro, you're already offsides. And he just started like barking and yelling at me and then just like screaming, hike the ball, you Richie Valens looking, you know what, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he just went off. I mean, you name it, he could say it fast and he was so witty. I mean, he would just unload on people and, you know, he would undress you like that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciated hearing all of your insight.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
I'm in the pocket. I'm in the pocket. I'm in the pocket.
We go back in the pocket to put some money in your pocket. And Ralph, you didn't do so hot last week. You went 1-2. No, Tom. He won 1 game, not 4. Your first incorrect lock of the week.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but we're going to rebound this week because I feel confident most of them have been right.
So here's a novel statement. The Giants are 3-point favorites. No, Tom. Not 4. I know you get confused. 3-point favorites at home against Washington.
Crazy, right? That the Giants are favored to win a game, but I'm all in with them this week. I mean, Washington is as bad as the Giants are. Dwayne Haskins there, Daniel Jones is on the bench, and I think the Giants are going to win. They showed me their defense is still good. They showed me some things on offense last week that let me believe they're close. But I'm buying into the Giants winning this game and even covering.
And surprise, the Jets are now playing Miami this week where they are 8-point underdogs.
Yeah, and you know, it's a bad surprise for them, but the Miami Dolphins kind of found their groove a little bit last week. Little Fitz magic working with their offense. And as you can see by the Jets, nothing is going right for them at the moment. Have to pick against them. I think the Dolphins are going to win and probably cover.
All right, Ralph, this is your time to redeem yourself.
Yes.
What is your lock of the week?
All right, I'm guaranteeing this one. I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams by 3.5 over the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a bad football team right now. And, you know, yes, they beat the Giants and Jets, but you know that means absolutely nothing. Guaranteeing it.
Ralph's lock of the week.
But to be honest, don't put all your money on me. Michelle, you need to share in this a little bit. I want you to give your lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, not to put you on blast, but because you have been struggling, I feel that I should also debut my lock of the week, just as like a safety net for those who don't really have all their trust in you. I'm going to go with the Steelers at -3.5 against the Browns. Ben Roethlisberger is looking good. And as great as the Browns actually have looked, I still think it's going to be the Steelers in this one.
Michelle's lock of the week.
Let's be clear, by the way, you should have your trust in me. I don't like those little insults you were throwing there, but we'll still bet. We'll split the bet on our 2 locks of the week.
They're not insults, Ralph. You know I love you.
I know.
All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of The Tailgate. Thanks again to Mark Sanchez. You can find him on ESPN or the Fourth and Forever podcast. For Ralph Vacchiano, I'm Michelle Margaux, and we'll see you next week.